Have you ever felt that overwhelm at the beginning of the garden season and wondered how you could possibly get all of the tasks done that need to get done in a short amount of time? I could tell you that pretty much every year this happens to me. I go out to the garden and usually it's like spring came practically overnight and instantly I feel this need to get everything done. And I have a really hard time spacing out tasks. Like when I see something that needs to get done, I want to spend all day doing it and then feel completely overwhelmed and tired at the end of the day versus spacing it out into a few days. And so there's something this year especially that I've learned, and I've been forced to learn because I'm pregnant and I'm getting ready to have our first baby boy in about 5 weeks. And so I can't just go out into the garden and spend a whole entire day like I used to doing all of these tasks. And so this week I wanted to kind of go over what I've done to help you and anyone else feeling a little bit overwhelmed with their spring garden coming, of how to get the tasks done kind of more efficiently, not as quickly, but definitely get them done in a amount of time that feels manageable, and really at the end of the week is still just as productive and successful. Okay, so first I'm just going to kind of walk through the garden and show you the tasks that I was hoping to get done and what I've been doing each day to kind of check them off. I've had a really great week gardening. I felt accomplished at the end of each day because I've just been focused on getting small tasks done, not getting everything done. And that's a huge issue. Every year I end up facing this. I go out to the garden and I look at the whole thing as a big picture. And I just think of all the things that I need to get done. And when you think of everything and you think of the entire garden being done as the end result, it feels overwhelming. And this year, because I can't do it all in one day, I've just had one goal for each day. Like, I'm gonna get that one garden box finished, or I'm gonna get that one row rototilled, or just those 6 tomato plants planted. And having that mindset has been totally a game changer. I feel accomplished at the end of each day because they have been easy to check off, where in the years past, I think, well, if it's not all done, then it's not done at all. And that's not true either, but that's just how I feel. And you get to the end of the day and you feel tired and you don't really feel like you accomplished anything. And that's not fun, because gardening should be fun and enjoyable and rewarding. And it is work. I'm not saying that it's not, but it shouldn't feel overwhelming, and it should also be enjoyable. So here's what I've done each day, and I hope that you can apply these same tactics to your garden, because changing your mindset a little bit and just feeling accomplished after accomplishing just one thing a day versus thinking of it as a whole picture will really help you. Alrighty, so on the first day I started out here in my raised garden beds, and these 3 boxes were my goal for the day. I got all the weeds out and we rototilled and then added some garden amendment soil on top, and that was pretty quick, so we got that done. And then the next day I just started weeding on these 2 beds, which I got all the weeds out. I just still need to rototill, and you can see I haven't yet got to this bed. There's still some onions growing, but I definitely need to get the weeds out. But then my big task was out here where I have my long rows where I plant tomatoes and peppers. I like to plant bigger plants out here because then they don't take up all the space in my raised beds. And then I also plant things like winter squash and pumpkins that spread, so then they can spread out like crazy and I don't worry about them just completely overtaking these littler beds. And so instead of looking at these 4 rows and thinking I needed to get all of it cleared out, rototilled, and ready in one day, which is how I've always been in the past, I just decided to choose 1 row and 1 task a day. And if I still felt good at the end of that time, then I would do a little bit more. So in one afternoon, I just decided to just get the weeds out of 1 row. And once I got the weeds out, I still had some time, so then I started rototilling, and I was able to get all the weeds out and rototill 1 row. And then the next day I came in and I added garden amendment soil where each tomato plant's going to be planted. There's a garden amendment soil that I really like. It's called Organic Plus, and it's Kellogg Organics brand. You possibly have that where you live, and if you don't, anything that's similar, it's just a nice amendment for garden beds, for vegetables and flowers. And I just add it right on top of the soil and gently mix it in. It's just a great amendment. Or you can add compost or whatever it is that you're adding in, but this is sold at the local nursery and it's a great product. And so then the next day my task was to get this row done. So I just, same thing, I weeded in one day. And then as soon as I got done with that, I had a bit more time. I still felt good, and so I rototilled. And then today I'm starting to add the amendment soil. And then I also got this row weeded today as well. You can see the piles of weeds down at the end. And if I have time, I'm going to rototill it, and then I'm going to be done for the day. And then tomorrow, I'm going to finish whatever tasks I didn't get done today, and then I'll finish off this 4th row. The following day, I still need to pull out these broccoli plants because they've bolted and flowered out, so they're pretty much done. But as you can see, as a whole, it looks like a lot to do, but at the end of each day, it's really just been a couple hours I've put into the garden each day, and you could even do less. You could just do a half a row a day, or just a half a garden bed. And thinking of it in little chunks just makes a huge difference. And so I hope that as you look around at your garden and think of all the tasks that need to be done, that you too can just check off a couple tasks a day and feel accomplished and happy at the end of the day. And don't feel overwhelmed, because none of us can do it all. We can do it all, but we just can't do it all in one day, or at least probably not enjoyably. And so look at your garden, break it into little chunks, and then just give yourself grace and feel happy at the end of the day, because gardens are fun and rewarding, and you're growing food for you and your family, and that is awesome. So I hope that video was helpful and at least encouraging. There's so many gardening tasks out there that we could do, and we could very easily feel overwhelmed, but you shouldn't. And I hope you try to apply some of this to your garden. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I know this was a little bit different than some of my videos that are more so teaching, but I just felt like this would be really helpful for a lot of people to hear. And so apply some of this to your own garden. Check off just a couple things a day, or even just one thing a day, and break everything into simple, manageable tasks. It really makes a difference. And if you want to check out a video that is a little more educational and tutorial, head to my video right here where I show you how I use the rototiller in my garden. It's one of my most favorite garden tools. I don't know what I would do without it. It's definitely one of the best garden investments we've made. I use it every single year. It breaks up the soil and the dirt clods and works up your soil so nicely. And so instead of struggling to dig through that hard soil that gets packed down after each year, I use the rototiller, and just makes the garden beds fresh and fluffy each year. So head to that video there, and I will see you soon.